4 different commanders in one aristocrats deck. It's time for another installment of Think Outside the Deck Box. Here are 2 of the 4 commanders, and the other 2 should be in here. There they are, and yeah, let's go through them and see what this deck offers to us when building it. We have Baron Bertram Greywater. For 4, you get a 3/4 legendary vampire noble with whenever you create your first creature or multiple ones, you get a additional 1/1 black vampire rogue with lifelink token onto the battlefield. Keep in mind, if you are able to, at instant speed, create another one during an opponent's turn, for example, you can get another vampire token, and for 2 you can sack another creature or artifact even to draw a card. So you have a card draw commander going here. This one is not in here. That one is the second one, which we're gonna put in, which is Minthara. For 4, you get a 2/2 elf cleric legendary creature with ward X equal to the amount of experience counters, so that can get out of hand quite fast. And if throughout one of your turns during the end step a creature has left the battlefield, so even Blink would work here, but we're playing aristocrats, she gets a experience counter, and creatures get +1/+0 equal to the experience counters on Minthara. So with this, she has some inbuilt protection to be targeted harder throughout the game and also boosts your token army. Now these 2 go in here, and then we're going to look at the other 2. So the first one, or the third one, is Elas il-kor. For 2, you get a 2/2 with Death Touch, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield on your side, you get a life point, and whenever one of your creatures dies, your opponents lose 1 life. So that's another way to play this deck. And lastly, we have Thalisse, Reverend Medium. For 5, you get a 3/4 human cleric with, at the beginning of each end step, if you create any tokens, you get X more 1/1 flying spirit token creatures onto the battlefield. And the idea of this deck is you choose which of these 4 you want to play. Maybe your opponents choose, maybe you choose them randomly, and then whatever you please, you play. Without having tested all of the commanders yet, I would say Elas il-kor might be the strongest one, and then maybe down like this, maybe she or maybe him is the weakest. Not entirely sure. Let me know in the comments if you tested this deck out with any of these. This would be my feeling, because Thalisse is quite expensive and these scary big creatures could get out of hand at some point, and just drawing 1 card each turn might... Oh, you know what? You can draw multiple cards, so maybe this is the 3rd strongest. Maybe. Let me know. But the idea is you can rotate throughout these commanders, and then you have a aristocrat's shell, but this deck has a little twist. It is a pEDH deck, again, as we like to build on this channel oh so often. So I split this deck into multiple piles: a card draw pile, a removal pile, a ramp pile, lands, protection, a payoff pile, and a token pile. We're gonna start with the token pile to see how it starts out, what the game aim is here. So we have Doom Traveler. For 1, you get a 1/1. When it dies, creates a 1/1 spirit token, and there are multiple ones that function similarly. So this one dies and gets a soldier in instead. This cat gets their human looking for it if it dies, which is kind of a sad story in my opinion. And then we have the crawling chorus, which has toxic, and when it dies, it gets another toxic creature out, which then cannot block. So you have all of these token creators, and these commanders all like their tokens to be created, either making them bigger, draining life, or creating even more tokens, or even drawing cards. This one gets a 2/2 zombie out. The Sacred Cat, when it dies, has the Embalm ability from the graveyard, and then you can get another copy of this lifelink cat. Lifelink with Minthara, then, if this creature is quite big, can gain you quite some life. Raise the Alarm creates 2 tokens at instant speed, so important if you want the Baron to trigger an additional time during your opponent's turns. You have the Raise the Alarm instant speed spell here. Gather the Townsfolk could create up to 5 tokens, though I think Most of the time it will be a little worse, raise the alarm, since it's just sorcery speed. I don't know the English name off the top of my head right now, but I'll show it on screen. For 1 you get a instant, for 3 you have even buyback, so you can get the spell back to your hand, and it creates a 1/1 white soldier token. And instant speed, so you can do it multiple times. If you have mana open, for 4 mana you can create more and more tokens throughout the turns, which is why Baron is awesome here. Thalisse even creating more and more tokens over the turns during your opponent's turns as well. This one could also go into the removal pile, so you exile a card from a graveyard and create a 2/2 zombie, and it even has flashback, so you do it a second time, and it is at instant speed. The Puzzle Knot, for 2 you get a 1/1 server artifact creature with it, and when you sacrifice it with the ability you get another 1, and again you can do it at instant speed, the sacrifice ability, and trigger the abilities of some of your commanders at opponent's turns as well. Queen's Commission's sorcery speed, but you get 2 lifelink vampires, really nice, which is why it's a little more expensive in mana. Omen of the Sun creates 2 white human soldier creatures and has flash, so instant speed, you gain 2 life additionally, and you even have a scribe ability to filter out cards that you don't need throughout the game. The welding card here is like a joker, so the best creature or artifact card can go back to your hand, and you even create another token at sorcery speed. Now this one also works at instant speed. The Persistent Specimen, for 3 you can return it from your graveyard back to the battlefield, which is great in the Minthara and the Elas il-kor decks, since you drain either at instant speed or have the ability to have an instant blocker that people don't really remember that they exist, and then they just pop out and die again, and give them some more experience counters. And this one is also bigger, so it's a scary blocker or a scary attacker. Similarly, the Sanitarium Skeleton, also a 3 mana return it to the battlefield ability. And now the best one I think in this deck for the token creation is the Worms Crossing Patrol. For 1 you get a 1/1 with Myriad, so whenever it attacks and you find an opponent where you can get through, either because they don't play blockers or you have some politics going, create some extra tokens. They either drain, or when they at the end of turn die, give some more experience counters, you get some extra Baron tokens, or well, Thalisse creates even more tokens that stay around, and you can do this turn after turn, so this can get quite out of hand really fast. Now, some payoff cards. We have some life gain and drain cards here, so Search Your Priest, whenever one of your creatures enter, you gain a life, and whenever an opponent's creature dies, they lose a life. Soul's Attendant, you gain a life for any creature that enters. Soul Warden does the same. We have the Lunarch Veteran, which gives you life whenever you have a creature entering and on the back, so when it's in the graveyard you can cast it again for 2, and then you gain some life whenever your opponents leave the battlefield. Bloodseeker, I think it is in English, for 2 you get a 1/1 that drains 1 life whenever a opponent's creature dies. We have Basilica Screecher, which gives extort to all your spells, so they drain some extra life from all opponents and you get up to 3 life, so that's nice. A Lampet of Death's Vigil, some sack outlet. We need multiple sack outlets in this deck since we want to be able to react to a board wipe, maybe to get some more value out of them. Always keep that in mind. All these sack outlets are quite powerful in this deck. Nadir's Nightblade, for 3 she drains a life from each opponent. Falkenrath Noble drains a life from any target player. Marauding Blight Priest drains 1 life whenever you gain some life. This friendly vampire does the same, costs 5, but is a 4/4. Mirkwood Bats is another powerful piece in this deck that lets your opponents lose 1 life whenever you create 1 token or sacrifice a token. This one I'm trying out for the first time, the Phyrexian Vivisector, I think it is in English. For 2 you get a 2/2 that scries whenever any creature of yours dies. Viscera CF for sack outlets, and scries 1, if you didn't know. Carrion Feeder gets +1/+1 counters whenever they eat 1 of your creatures but can't block, and the Aristocrat is just there for the sack outlet but could be a useful blocker or just be able to go through. And with Minthara, she would get even bigger and could deal some serious damage throughout the game. So you sack a creature and she gains protection from any color that you want. Next up, protection spells. So we have all of these creatures going, we have some commanders that we might want to protect. So how are we going to do this? So we have Dark Dabbing.
Am I dabbing right? This is a dab.
The inside joke
this is
for
a dab.
This game.
Which is a card I think is underplayed. For 3 you regenerate a creature and it replaces itself, so already great. But if you have 2 or more instant sorceries in your graveyard, you can also regenerate your entire team. So this is a Rapid Vigor in black, and in my opinion even better because it replaces itself. So people will not see that coming, they will wipe the board and you even draw a card for it and keep your whole board. Rootborn Defenses similarly, your whole board gains indestructible, so it doesn't even regenerate, which would go around Damnation for example, and you even populate and create another token, which again instant speed triggers one of your commander's abilities at instant speed again. Kaya's Ghost Form protects one of your creatures from dying by bring it back to play. Again, creatures leaving, dying, draining, you know how this deck goes by now. Supernatural Stamina also brings a creature back to life when they die, and also gives +2/+0 could get relevant, but probably not too much. Now, some card draw cards. This deck plays quite a significant amount of card draw cards because we want to also sacrifice our creatures, and Village Rites is doing just that. For 1 instant speed, kills a creature, draw 2 cards, nasty and very similar. If we sacrifice our commander, we even draw 3. Maybe someone will kill our creature, we don't have some protection going, well, might as well draw 3 cards, right? Why not? Reckoner's Bargain gives us some life back, equal to the amount of mana that the creature costed or artifact that we sacrificed. This one I think is a powerful card in Pauper or any non-Pauper deck. Keep in mind, this is Pauper, but this deck could get even more powerful if you wanted it to be. So you could play the same commanders here, but put in your favorite rares or mythics or whatever uncommons, and this deck would be even more powerful. Keep that in mind, but the challenge was to see how far we can push this deck. And by the way, this deck only costs 15 bucks. So if you want to support CardboardTutor on Cardmarket and create a Cardmarket account, you can put me in as a referral and I get some 1% or so, or 0.5% or so cash back on your sales or buys that you do, and would support the channel and help me finance my cards I'll show to this channel and get for the decks. So, Eviscerators, inside for 2, you sack a artifact or creature and you draw 2, and it even has flashbacks. So you have twice the amount of spells in here. Costly Plunder, sack artifact or creature, draw 2, instant speed. Great. Altar's Reap, same, sack creature, draw 2. So you see quite some redundancy in here. That's where we're gonna skip through them. Knight's Whisper, draw 2, and you lose 2. Sorcery speed, but still great. Silent Blood similarly, but you could even kill a player if you wanted to, and they just have 2 life left. This one does the same, costs 1 more, but is instant speed. Siphon Mind I like quite a lot as well. You let everyone discard a card, so it could also go towards removal, but you also draw a card for each card that was discarded. So normally you get them to discard 3 cards, each of your opponents, and you draw 3 cards, so that's nice. And then Death Denied lets you pay X, so normally you just put in your whole mana if you can during an opponent's end step just before your turn. Just put it all in there and get X creature cards back to your hand. So this gets your like 5 of your best creatures back, and this I count towards card draw, right? Next up, Removal. This I really like, and we tested this deck out already once, which is instant speed, card exile from graveyard, but also creating a spirit token. So this could also go into the token pile, but more so for removal. But even if your opponents don't have a graveyard, you can just exile anything from yours. This one costs 4 more, Eaten Alive, or you have to sack a creature. So obviously we want to sack creatures, and we even exile a creature or planeswalker for just 1 black, but at sorcery speed. Bone Splinters, I think it is. Sorcery speed for 1 black, sack a creature, kill a creature. This Brothers War spell costs 5. Instant speed costs 1 less for each creature that we have in the graveyard, and obviously we will have several in there, and we even exile or kill a planeswalker with it. Well, we exile the planeswalker, so that's nice. Tragic Slip, -13, -13 if a creature died this turn, which is why we have all of these sack outlets in here, just to be sure that we can hit this Morbid trigger as well, otherwise it's a -1, -1. Then we have Flashback Marauder. Everyone has to sack a creature. Most of the time we're going to sack the Flashback itself, but maybe we have some expendable tokens that we don't need anymore, and we sack that and we get the 3/1 to be sticking around. Crypt Rats, a beautiful board wipe in Pauper. For 3 you get a 1/1 and you pay X black mana into it to deal 1 damage per black mana to every creature and every player. Pestilence does the same, but is an enchantment and you have to sack it if there are no creatures in play. Keep that in mind, but this can be a very nice leverage to be used and force players to play differently if they know that Pestilence is around. Cathar Soldier something, Commando Soldier. For 2 you get a 3/1 flash and you can sack her at instant speed to destroy artifact or enchantment. Really nice, very versatile, has flash, like everything about it. Leave No Trace is a card I think more people should play also in non-pauper and casual decks, since you can destroy a enchantment and every enchantment that shares a color with it. Of course, there will be some times where you have an enchantment that you want to keep around, but the question is, would it be worth to you to get rid of most of the enchantments that you also don't want around just for the price of 2 mana and the enchantment maybe that shares a color and you want to get rid of? So give this a try. I think it's an underplayed card and not many people know even that this exists, because I don't even think that it has many reprints at all. And then the classic Disenchant, destroying instant sorcery at instant speed. And now lastly, the card draw pile before we look at the land spell, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, the deck list is in the description below. We have the Brood Spawn something, I don't know. For 2 you get a 2/1, and when it dies you get a 1/1 Eldrazi token that you can sack for a colorless. We have the Goldmer and the Ledmer, that both create a mana when they tapped, and you can attack with them, sack them, whatever. So these are also versatile in the sense that you can have them leave the battlefield, sack them for some other value. Dark Ritual just to boost out stuff that normally you wouldn't be able to in 2 turns later, so that's nice. Always use that in mono black decks, because it can be quite explosive, gets your commander out earlier. Mindstone can be sacked for a card draw later, otherwise it's a colorless mana rock. Marble Diamond, Charcoal Diamond, both of them enter tapped but create a mana when tapped. Commander Sphere can later be replaced with a card if you sack it. Talisman gives you some life points, and then again, if you gain life, you let your opponents lose life with creatures like these. This is why this is in here, otherwise I wouldn't play it, because it costs 3 and only gives colorless. And then we have another sack outlet with Ashnod's Altar, which is a common, so keep that in mind, which is beautifully signed here by Anson. And now lastly, the lands before we call it quits here. Path of Ancestry, because most of our creatures have like 2, maybe even 3 card types, creature types, and most of our creatures share a type with our other creatures. So this we can trigger multiple times throughout a game. Being able to then scry for 1 can be quite powerful while proceeding throughout a round of Magic. Command Tower, just for colored mana. Bojuka Bog could also be put into the removal pile, but I like to place the lands together. Obviously useful, and with Orzhov Basilica we can even return it back to our hand and play it at a later turn and remove another graveyard from the game. The Bridge is indestructible, dual land, enters tap, but we don't mind as much since we're playing Pauper. We're not playing at the most powerful tables, but obviously you can replace it with a scrap land if you have one flying around. Scored Barons, enters tapped, gives us a life, again triggers the life gain drain creatures here that let your opponents lose life whenever you gain life. Then we have 2 cycling lands, which we just can drop if we draw them and we don't need them. And then we're playing several plains here, 8 I think, and 15 swamps, all with different art, which I found beautiful for this deck. And now I hope to read you in the comments and tell me, 1, which of these you like best for this deck, which you think is the most powerful, but also which cards did I maybe forget to put into this deck. Let us know in the comments so we can all learn together. Help this channel out by watching another video and clicking those 2 buttons. See you there, have a beautiful day, and bye bye.